Each problem that you go through, each trial and tribulation that you go through as a man is made to build you up, right? Instead of complaining about your situation, learn from it. Understand the reason why God is putting you in this situation right now. Sometimes as human beings, we complain too much. We complain about the job that we have to work. We complain about whatever situation that we're in, instead of looking forward to taking action, looking forward to find a solution to solve the problems that we have internally, right? Sometimes we just complain too much in general, instead of just asking God to give us strength to get through this problem, to get through this moment in order for us to build, right? And that's what you need to work on as a man. You need to work on asking God for deliverance, asking God to help you, right? It's okay to have that mentality of going through things alone, because you understand that only you can do it. Only you can fix your problems. Only you can fix whatever situation that you got going on right now. But as a man, you must understand that your higher self, which is God, will always be there to help you. God will always be there to help with whatever situation that you got going on in your life, as long as you're willing to seek Him, as long as you're willing to let Him come into your life. Then that's when you will start to improve within yourself, within your life, because you're allowing God to flow through your life. You're allowing God to live through you, right? Understand that you and God are one, right? And the more that you improve yourself, the more that you tend to hear God's words. And 9 times out of 10, it's not just God's thoughts, it's also your thoughts as well. That's your higher self speaking to you, right? When you're in a situation, when you're about to be in danger, your higher self will tend to tell you to get out of the situation, or give you a warning, or give you a bad feeling, whatever intuition that you may feel, to get you out of that situation. And that is a way of God speaking to you, right? That is a way of your higher self communicating to you, right? And so the more that you lean onto God's words, the more that you try to understand God's teachings, the more you connect with your higher self, the more you're able to connect with Him. So whatever situation that you're in, whether you're going through a breakup, or you lost a family member, you lost a car, you lost your house, you lost your job, whatever it may be, that's God asking for you to rely on Him more. That's God asking for you to seek Him more, right? And sometimes we get so clouded by our own thoughts. We overthink so much to the point where we can't hear God's words. We can't hear what He's trying to tell us, because we're so clouded by our ego. And we believe that ourselves we're better than God. We believe that we're stronger and more intelligent than God. But the Bible teaches us that we have to rely on His knowledge and not our own knowledge, right? We must rely on the knowledge of our higher self, and not the knowledge of our lower self, because there's a difference, right? Your higher self is the man that you're going to be in 6 months from now, and your lower self is you. It's your past self. It's your past self holding you back. And that's the main thing that holds us back as human beings. Just looking at the past, just worrying about the past when we can't change it, right? When we steady look at our past, there's absolutely no way we can move forward, because you're constantly thinking about what happened 10 months ago, or a few months ago, a couple months ago, whatever it may be. You're constantly thinking about the nostalgia and how things could have been, instead of thinking about how things should be, right? So when you switch that mindset of not worrying about the past and just worry about moving forward, that's when you will start to progress. because you're worrying about each step that you're taking to move you forward to your goal, instead of worrying about what steps you can take in order to move backward, in order to fix the mistakes that you've done. And to tell you the honest truth, you can't really fix 90% of the mistakes that you made in the past. You, as a human being, you must learn to live through that. Live through the pain. Live through the suffering. That's why a lot of people don't like to be alone sometimes, because of the fact that they're afraid of their own thoughts. They're afraid of going through the pain. They're afraid of going through the struggle, right? They're afraid of facing their own demons, facing their own problems from within themselves. But as a man, you must understand that in order for you to grow, in order for you to become a better person, you must go through those things. You must go through those aspects of pain, those aspects of suffering, of doubt, depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. You must go through those emotions in order for you to grow. And the reason why you must go through those emotions is because of the fact that it makes you stronger. So the next time that you do get those emotions again, you know how to control them. You know how to deal with them, right? You know how to channel that energy, channel those emotions into something better, into something greater, instead of letting it dwell within your soul over and over again and not doing anything about it, but complaining 24/7, right? And so the more that you complain, the more negativity that will continue to arise within your life. The more negativity that will continue to arise within your relationships, not only your relationships on a worldly level, but your spiritual relationships with God, right? The more that you complain, the more or the less you will hear God's words, right? Because you're so clouded about this, about that, and why can't I do this? Why things can't be this, instead of just understanding that that's just the way things are. That's just the way life is. And when you just let life flow, when you just let life just be life, that's when you will start to upgrade. That's when you will start to elevate, because you understand the law of detachment, right? Detaching yourself from these worldly desires, detaching yourself from that job, detaching yourself from that clinginess of external factors. When you understand the law of detachment, detaching yourself from the world, detaching yourself from that job, detaching yourself from things that bring you down to your lower self. When you understand, when you learn how to do that, that's when you will truly learn how to control your emotions and really become more stoic, right? As a man, it's really important for you to be more stoic, right? And to understand that life doesn't always go your way, right? You're not always going to win every single game, right? Michael Jordan, one of the best basketball players in the world, he doesn't win all of his games. In fact, the games that he lost from, it made him better, right? It made him stronger, right? When he lost to the Pistons, he went straight into that gym and he tried his very hardest to get bigger. And that's how you should be. Every time that you fail within life, every time you hit that certain obstacle, every time you lose that job or you lose $1,000, think of new ways to get it back. Think of new ways to not only get it back, but to get something greater. Think of new ways to get closer to God. Think of new ways to elevate yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually, instead of just being stuck within the present moment. It's okay to not worry about the future and not to worry about the past and to focus on the present moment. But in reality, it's just as bad as if you're being stuck there. Being stuck in the present moment can really be detrimental for your life, right? Because you're just staying in one spot. You're not moving forward. And sometimes as human beings, we overthink, and we're human. That's how the human mind works. We overthink. We are very intellectual. But at the same time, it can get to a point where we tend to create more problems instead of more solutions, just because of the fact that we're always thinking about creating more solutions to problems that are really small, instead of just taking little steps, understanding that things take time, right? You're not just going to make $1,000 tomorrow just by having an experience of day trading for one day. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna just win that championship tomorrow if you're not at least practicing before the game or watching film before the game. It's taking those little extra steps to elevate yourself. That's what's more important, right? With that being said, stop worrying about your past and stop worrying about the future. Instead of just worry about the steps that you need to take in order for you to become that person in the future, in order for you to build your future. Worry about the steps that you can take now. Instead of just complaining about your situation, understand that when you're in a hard situation, when you're in a very difficult situation that you think you can't get out of, that higher self will bring you out of that situation if you rely on your higher self, if you rely on your higher consciousness, if you rely on God, right? There's always some type of voice. There's always some type of voice in the back of your head telling you what you need to be doing. But as human beings, we tend to let our emotions cloud those thoughts. We tend to let our emotions cloud the words of God, or cloud the words of our higher self, cloud the words of our higher consciousness. And that's what leads to procrastination and overthinking, because we're letting our emotions take control over the words that God is telling you. So understand that in order for you to hear God's words, in order for you to hear the words of your higher self, you have to just let life flow. Just be still, but don't be too still. Be still to the point where you're opening yourself up to hearing your higher self, right? You're opening your mind up to hearing your higher self, but you're not opening up too much to the point where you're constantly overthinking. Block out the noise. Only worry about improvement. Only worry about moving forward. Nothing else. With that being said, I'm going.